All right, what is up? We are live. Good to see everybody on here. Gonna check the chat here real quick just to make sure it's working. Yeah, working on my side. All right. So, got a few things to sort of go over here before we jump into the chat and see what you guys want to talk about. First off, got the poll question up. Do you think Thor Sport will be the Dodge team? Yes or no? Are the options there? And I say that because Road Ranger, which has been a sponsor for Thor Sport a very long time, announced that they were going to go over to Team Haas in the Xfinity series with Sheldon Creed. And not that either one of those things have anything to do with Dodge and whether or not they're going to Thor Sport, but it has gotten a lot of people talking about is Thor Sport going to be the Dodge team, and did Ranger move over there to Haas because they could be leaving Ford? And there's no real, rhyme or reason to it. It's just silly season, rumor conspiracy talk. But just give it some leniency just to talk about it, because it is something to talk about. Dodge is going to have a team over there if the rumors are true, and they are coming to the Truck Series. Thor Sport would be a huge win if Dodge could figure it out and get them to be the team for Dodge, because Thor Sport has never really been manufacturer loyal. They're working with Ford now. Before that, they worked with Toyota. They worked with Ford before that. And when they first started, they were a Chevrolet team. So Dodge would sort of fill out the cycle of working with all the teams that have ever been in the Truck Series. And I say it would be a huge win for Dodge because back-to-back champions, three out of the last four championships they have won, and they've got 7 championships in the Truck Series overall: 2013, 2014, 2019, 2021, 2023, and most recently last year, 2024. So if Dodge could figure out a way for Thor Sport to be their team, that would be a huge win for them. And like I said, this is just a lot of speculation you see on like Reddit and stuff like that, but I did want to entertain it because it would be very interesting if Dodge could get a Thor Sport and come into the sport like that. That would give immediate relevancy to Dodge, and also maybe into a situation where Thor Sport actually would be super loyal to a manufacturer because they would be the number one team over there. Of course, the Ford fans are definitely going to say, hey, we're not giving up Thor Sport. We like our situation there with Ford. So there's always a back and forth with it. But I did think it was an interesting thing. I saw somebody throw it out on the Discord, and it just sort of got my mind wondering. It would be really a big move if Dodge was able to get Thor Sport. That would be sort of like a crown jewel. That would be like somebody coming in and getting in the Cup Series and getting a Joe Gibbs or a Hendrick or a Penske if Dodge made that move. Also, basically, the same rumor mill, Jordan Bianchi, I want to say, reported this. I don't have it off the top of my head, but he said after the first year in the Truck Series, it would be Dodge in the Cup Series, Ram in the Truck Series, Dodge in the Cup Series. Dodge would try to get a Cup Series team as well. So a lot going on with the Dodge rumors. So I wanted to start off the show with that. The other thing is the ratings. I always like to talk about the ratings when they're good. When they're bad, I don't really like to talk about them. But it is interesting that the CW, I'm going to start off with the Xfinity series. The CW is once again up. I think they had over 1 million views on the CW, which is interesting because certain parts of the country are having problems seeing the CW and things like that. So it's interesting that they're still putting up really good numbers, even with all the problems they're having with the app and with people in the wrong regions not being able to see races and things like that. So even though it's not been the smoothest rollout, they still have made a lot of progress with it and are doing very well with it. And of course, it shows why it is so important to be on network TV. Now, the Cup Series probably not going to be on network TV because they would have to take a pay cut. Cup Series choosing to take the money, the guaranteed money, instead of the trying to grow the sport by having it on network TV. IndyCar going the opposite route. IndyCar wants to get as much exposure out there. They're trying to build IndyCar back up. So they're taking a little bit less money to get way more exposure with their Fox deal. So that's sort of how that's playing out right there. So you're not going to see that on the Cup Series. But speaking of the Cup Series in the first 2 races of this season is up 10% overall, according to Fox. Fox released this on Twitter. They said overall, over the first 2 races, the Cup Series is up, and that kind of makes sense because this is the time of the year where Cup's going to do really well. There's not a ton going on. Breakard covered this on his episode. There's not a ton going on right now. You know, baseball hasn't started, football's ended. You got basketball going on, but basketball really doesn't take off until March Madness. So you've got this doldrum here, and NASCAR can fill that void and get maximum ratings. But the ratings are still up, so it is a good thing overall for NASCAR. So another good thing to report. The other deal, of course, is that Corey Heim is finally going to be racing in the Cup Series. Toyota has seen the error of its ways, or at least 2311 has seen the error of Toyota's ways. They're going to put Corey Heim in a Cup car next season, going to run some races this year for Sam Hunt Racing, and of course already has 12 wins in his short career in the Truck Series. I don't know how much more he could do in the Truck Series. So hard to win a championship these days, just the way the format is. I don't know that necessarily winning a championship shows how good or bad of a driver or caliber driver you are, just because it is a one-race crapshoot, and you can get, you can get into an incident like he did with Carson Hocevar when he was basically, he probably had a really good chance to win that championship. So can't really judge a championship when it's based off of one race, but definitely his truck career has been a success. 12 wins, his late model career, huge success. He's one of the best drivers as far as young talents go, and it's been an absolute head scratcher as to why Toyota hasn't moved him up. There's the rumor, more or less verified, but I'm still going to say it's a rumor because nobody's come out and officially said it, that him and Ty Gibbs don't get along. That's why you're never going to see him in a Joe Gibbs Racing machine over there. So that sort of limits his 2 options to 2311 and Legacy Motor Club. And judging off of how Legacy Motor Club ran last season, they've started off strong this season, so let's give them credit where credit is due. But judging off how Legacy Motor Club ran last season, of the 2 options, you would definitely have to say 2311 is the better prospect to get some Cup experience, especially when he's going to be paired in that number 67 with crew chief Booty Barker. Booty Barker did a great job with Bubba Wallace, got him, I think, two wins so far over there, 2 or 3 wins. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Booty Barker, a veteran crew chief, he did a good job with a young Bubba Wallace. Now he's going to have a young Corey Heim to work with. So hopefully that pairing over there will yield some results. However many races Corey Heim's going to get over there in that 67. And where he ends up landing is anybody's guess, because you've got several young drivers over there at 2311. I don't know who's going to move to make room for that. Bubba Wallace is young. He does pretty well on the track. When he makes the playoffs, he does a good job. I would like to see some more wins out of him, but he brings a ton of sponsorship. So he does good on the racetrack, brings a ton of sponsorship. I don't see him going anywhere. Tyler Reddick is basically a generational talent. So I don't see Tyler Reddick going anywhere. And Riley Herbst brings a ton of funding in, but you don't know what you're necessarily getting just yet with Riley Herbst, because it is in fact his rookie season. So you would imagine they would give him at least 2 years. So where Corey Heim would actually slot in over there at 2311 is an interesting question. Whereas Legacy could possibly run a 3rd car if they could find the charter, or, maybe he replaces John Hunter Nemechek or Eric Jones over there at Legacy. But going to be a tough road to hoe if Toyota wants to keep Corey Heim as a Cup Series driver, which, if they have a brain in their head, they're going to want to keep Corey Heim. And if Chevrolet or Ford has a brain in their head, they're going to do everything they can do to steal him, because Corey Heim, absolute great prospect, great talent. I think that's all I got for the rundown here. Yeah, so I'm going to jump into the comments and see what you guys want to talk about. Jump up here to the top. Aaron Flynn, appreciate it, man. Big time super chat there. Thank you very much. And just says goal. So goal. I appreciate it, my man. I always appreciate the help on the channel, you guys. Let's see. Quattro saying, what's up, Quattro? Good to see you on here, my friend. Covered the Larson wreck just for you in the last video, because you said nobody ever covers it. Petty back in the Truck Series with Dodge. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting to see if the Petty deal happens in Dodge. It is a poll question up too, by the way. Do you think Thor Sport will be the Dodge team? Yes or no? Almost half and half right now. 76 Altimas racing. Now that's stock car racing. LOL, do it for Dale, says Shaw. So yeah, Cletus keeping the buzz going here. He was already huge on YouTube, but now I feel like he's mainstream now. Like a lot more mainstream people know who Cletus is because he ran that ARCA race, which is crazy. So good for him. He's capitalizing on it. I got a great personality. He's been on the Dale Jr. download now, so my man's he's living it. He's living it, and I couldn't be happier for him. Seems like a really really good dude, and he's also a giant. So good for him. And I say that because it's always interesting when I see somebody that tall that wants to drive a race car, because there's no way he's comfortable inside of a race car. But good on him. He's having a blast doing it. Hope he continues to make great content and have good races out there. Matt Crafton will race the same truck and scheme for the next 30 years, says OJ and Toothpaste. So there you go. OJ chiming in that Matt Crafton got another 30 in him. He doesn't have one more in him. He's got 30 more in him, according to OJ and Toothpaste. Did you get a chance to see the one scheme for Coda? I did see the one scheme for Coda. It's a sharp looking race car. It's got sort of like a Longhorn theme to it. The Busch Light car does. So really good looking scheme. Yeah, that was a good one. Good scheme for sure. Might add it to my list after I'm going to make a purchase of that number 87 Red Bull that they've got at Lionel for young Zilly. Let's see. Ron Russell, I signed up for Basic Max so I could watch driver in car. It worked well. I can ride along with whoever you want, says Ron Russell. So I do have Max. I've just been trying to work with the CW app. Obviously, I could put an antenna up, which I need to do, but the weather's been crappy and I don't feel like doing it. And I can get it regionally that way. I'm just trying to investigate the app because a lot of people are having problems with it. And I'm one of the people that's having problems with the app. But I could easily solve the problem by just putting the antenna up and pointing it in the right direction, and I would have it that way. But I'm trying to live with the app. I know a lot of people are having problems with the NASCAR app itself as well. I haven't had a chance to mess with that because I've been fiddling with the CW app. A lot of people having problems with the new NASCAR app as well, where they're not getting as good a service as they used to get. I can't speak to it because I've never used it per se. I'd be hesitant to sign with Dodge because of how unstable they were in their previous stints in NASCAR. It would be hard to leave a good situation for another manufacturer, says Dirty Death, and that's a fair statement right there as well. Drinking the Woo energy drink here, by the way. Happy birthday to Ric Flair. It says here, styling, profiling, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, son of a gun. I'm having a hard time. Doesn't say that part. Having a hard time keeping these alligators down. But yeah, Ric Flair turned 76 today, so we're drinking the energy drink for him. But yeah, I wouldn't leave if Ford was a good situation for Thor Sport. I wouldn't leave, but if Dodge gives them a better situation, I would leave, because Thor Sport, like I just read off all those championships they've just won. If Dodge pulls out of the sport, anybody would go right back to Thor Sport. Any manufacturer would go right back to Thor Sport. So in this particular situation, if I'm Thor Sport, if I get a better situation with Dodge, I'm not scared. I'm gonna take that situation all day. Not saying they will. Like I said, it was just some conversation that was brought up in the Discord. But Thor Sport's so good. You don't need an engine program anymore because everything's an Ilmor engine. So just slap the body on, and as long as you've got the R&D to make it run fast, Thor Sport right now doing it better than anybody, in my opinion. 2311 is saying F Gibbs. Says Luop, we're out Thor. I would just dance with whoever I came with. I agree with Dirty D. Dodge is too unpredictable, says Shop. There is something to be said about that. If you look at the financial future and you get nervous about where Dodge could possibly be going, there is definitely something to be said for that. I'll agree with the overview of the financial health of the company. You could say the same thing with a Nissan or anybody else if they were interested in coming in the series. You excited for the new Coda layout, says OJ and Toothpaste? I'm going to be totally honest with you, OJ and Toothpaste. I haven't given it one bit of thought. I'm going to enjoy the Coda race, and I'm not going to worry about it as long as I don't actually notice it on the racetrack. I'm not going to bring it up or think about it. I think a lot of times we just get so bored in between races that, like, we find things to nitpick and critique as NASCAR fans. So and it's kind of the same approach I take with the booth. If I don't notice you doing your job in the booth, you did a great job. If I notice you doing your job in the booth, it's probably because you're doing a bad job. Occasionally, it's because you're doing a super good job. But 9 times out of 10, it's because you're doing a bad job. So as long as I don't notice it on the racetrack, I'm not gonna worry about it. So I'm just gonna reserve judgment until then. As far as that goes, I haven't really given it a ton of thought. But if it goes poorly, like if there's no passing, there's no good passing zones or something like that, I might think about it then. Luop, this is going to be Joe Nemechek's replacement. I mean, Junior Nemechek, John Hunter Nemechek is who Luop is talking about, which is crazy because JHN has actually started off the season pretty good. But much like Chase Briscoe, John Hunter Nemechek, he's a streaky driver. He either runs really good or gets in a bunch of wrecks. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Bubble's replacement. So Luop thinks he's going to replace Bubble Wallace. I'm assuming here. I can't believe he's hanging around waiting. He's a patient kid. Great show. Appreciate you, Luop. Yeah, I can't. I'm with you. If I was Corey, I don't know how his contract is set up and all that, but if I'm Corey Heim and I keep getting the runaround from Toyota, I would just go to Chevrolet or Ford and be like, "Yo, stick me in something." I will make Toyota pay for not putting me in the Cup Series. That's what I would have done. But I'm not Corey Heim. I don't know his contract situation and all that, so it's really hard to say. All I can say is that he is absolutely a really good driver, and I'm glad he's at least finally getting his opportunity in the Cup Series. Let's go, BB Goats and OJ. Hash browns are ready, says Russell. Russell got the hash browns going. I hear you, brother. Heim is taking Bubbles ride. What up, BB and crew? What's up, T-Van? Extremely difficult to ask a new fan to sit through a 4-hour race only to have the winner determined by when NASCAR official hits a button. Hardcore fans like us are going to watch regardless. Yeah, they need to come up with a consistency on the caution. There's a lot going on there, so let me just start with this. They need to get consistent on what is a caution and what isn't a caution. It has to be a caution all the time. It can't be a caution the first, it can't be a caution the first 300 laps, and then the last 20 laps of the race it's not a caution. So you just need to be consistent with that, period. So that's the first thing that needs to happen. Then they need to either get rid of the green white checkers or have that consistency, and the green white checkers won't matter because you'll be so consistent with your cautions, or go back to the old way where it ends at the scheduled distance. That's the side I lean on, not the most popular side, but that's where I fall in on the controversy. And I use the word controversy loosely because to me it's not a controversy, because NASCAR has always been inconsistent with the yellow flags. All of a sudden though, now it's become a big deal because the last 2 races that they've had, last 2 Cup races, and you've also had some other preliminaries and some Xfinity issues and Truck Series issues as well with the cautions. Now all of a sudden it's become a big deal because it's happened a bunch of times in the previous races. To me, it's not a huge deal because it's been going on for so long, and I'm not saying it's not something that needs to be fixed. I'm just saying I've been saying it needs to be fixed for 4 years now on the channel, and now finally everybody is seeing that it's been a problem for a long time and it needs to be fixed. They need to be consistent with the cautions. All right, steps down off of his soapbox and moves on with the next question. Sorry about that. Let's see. Luop saying no. Cletus is awesome, says T-Van. Cletus, yeah, needs to clean it up, says Luop. Matt Crafton forever, says Luop. Yeah, Matt Crafton, a veteran. He's been doing it. Dang on, God, I can't even remember when the dude was a rookie. I want to say like early 2000s, maybe even in the 90s. He goes back a long ways. Run a poll on how many people think the Cut Boys will wreck the 87, says Luop. If they can catch him, he's pretty good on a road course. So we'll see. Yeah, they don't get video. All you get is driver and spotter talk 2 minutes ahead. That's their problem. I'm gonna start trying in NASCAR Fantasy. I've allowed y'all to build a cushion so it's not a blowout, says Quattro. We appreciate you giving us a head start, Quattro. The real season starts today, though, or this weekend, I should say. Real season starts today, so Quattro makes his march to the front. He's given us a head start, and which was kind of him. A very kind fantasy player. Thank you very much, sir. Agree, Dirty Death. After watching old races, I'm having trouble watching the new races, says T-Van. Lovey, what's up, my friend? Good to see you on here. Cletus has to be as tall as Michael Waltrip, and he did okay. Not saying he was comfortable, but who cares when you're having fun? Yeah, pretty much as soon as the engine starts, you don't think about anything else because you're just locked in. Unless there's like a red flag or a caution, then you're like, oh man, it's hot in here. Let's see. I think Carson's comments about boy bands was a dig at Ryan, since Ryan and Wallace were in a band together, says like dislike. I don't know. Hard to say. I think he was just saying it in general, but you'd have to get him to clarify it for sure. Boy band for sure, directed at Blaney. I agree, says Luop. So there you go. A lot of people thinking that comment was directed at Ryan Blaney. So that's interesting. Maybe some reporter will ask Carson if it was actually directed at Ryan Blaney. Let's see. How about after 6 days, Cletus's episode of the Dale Jr. Download is the third most viewed episode of the Dale Jr. Download at 1.5 million views. There you go. The man moves the needle, no doubt about it. Nissan's going out of business, says Lou Up. They are. They didn't take the Honda deal. They think that they are worth more than that. So we'll see. See how it plays out for them. But if somebody else doesn't bite, they are probably going to go under. Somebody will buy the rights to them, though. So they could either sell those rights to Honda or just go out of business and have the government sell off those rights for them. So I guess they're taking the government selling off the rights for them option. Hardy Boys NXT tonight. Swanton Bombs, Peeps this weekend, BB, High Flying, Baloney from the Tightrope. By God, says Russell Dominguez. Matt Hardy, version 1, my friends. So there we go. I don't think that was the V1. I think I threw up something else, but it is what it is. I Will Not Die. Matt Hardy, 2007 versus Edge. Great storyline. Then he became the Unbroken and all kinds of other weird stuff. But let's see. Cameron, North Carolina, just outside of Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. That's where the Hardys are from. They wrestled at my high school before they went to WWE. So great success story. Great success. Very nice. I agree with Harvard being Mr. Politically Correct. Says Lou Up. The timing for Suarez would be good for a Dodge ride. That's an interesting take. So if Suarez got moved, would he end up with Dodge, and what team would that be? That's an interesting take. In this situation, it would have to be the Truck Series because Dodge isn't coming to. It's according to the rumors that I've read, it would be a 1-year gap. So for him to get back up to Cup, it would sort of at least be a 1-year gap. So he would have to go down to Trucks or something like that. Lou Up saying Harvick, talking about Harvick's always being Mr. Politically Correct. We will finally get a green flag. Will we finally get green flag pit stops this weekend, says Joseph Wooten. It's a road course, so I guess the last stage you might see green flag stops, but other than that, you're all going to see the stops at the same time. Which would be like 2 or 3 laps before the stage ends or whatever. Everybody will be on the same strategy. It'll be, as far as that goes, I guess technically you'll see 2. You'll have a chance to see 3 green flag stops, but only 1 green flag stop will matter. So, because everybody will be coming in at the same time. So yes, you will see 1 green flag stop that matters, possibly if the last stage goes green. That's the best I can predict that one. The Coda layout was set by 1.5 miles, so I'm curious to see how it races, says Dirty Def. I am curious to see how it races, but I guess as far as it goes, I don't really care about it as long as there's still passing zones. A lot of people are saying there's not going to be as many passing zones, though, because you've cut out one of your corners where you set up a lot of good passes. So that's what I'm saying. As long as they can still pass on it, and as long as the zones are still there for passing, I don't think it'll be a big deal. But if nobody can pass because you've taken out one of the better passing zones, then it will be a big deal. I guess is kind of what I'm getting at. But I'm not gonna care about it until I know for sure that nobody can pass. Then I'll be like, well, this layout was not as good as the last layout. Let's see. So if a new car manufacturer comes into the league, are they going to give them charters? According to NASCAR, they've got some laid aside for that particular situation. So yes, as far as that goes, and make the field bigger. So yes, as far as that goes, NASCAR has said they are holding back some charters if another manufacturer wanted to join the sport. So there would be, at least in my opinion, 2 charters for another manufacturer, possibly more than that, if they wanted to come into the sport. So they wouldn't even necessarily have to get a team. They could take a team and build a team if they really wanted to go that route, a la Red Bull back. This is before charters, but Red Bull, they just built a team and wanted to run it all as one Red Bull way back in the day. SVG, Connor Zilich, AJ Allmendinger. Battle will be legendary, says Lovey Barkley. Don't forget Michael McDowell. You got to throw him in the mix, I would say, as well. Chase Elliott probably going to be in that mix as well. Contracts can be broken and paid, says Lou Up. I agree for sure. Worst Monster Energy flavor. Rehab, I think, is something like that. That was a pretty bad one. Off the top of my head. NASCAR wants more viewers. Well, that might be a rock star. I don't know. There was one of them. It was like a yellowy orange. It's not Monster Beast or anything like that. But there's one that's like yellowy orange. That was pretty gross, pretty grody. Let's see. I think it's called Rehab. NASCAR wants more viewers. Well, I guarantee Cletus brought more long term viewers to the series and all their novelty races and racing out of country, says Shaw. I agree, and what NASCAR needs to learn from that is that personality moves the sport. So let's stop. And sponsors as well need to learn this. Let's stop. Let's stop killing all the personality in the sport, and let the drivers be drivers. How about a caution? Doesn't end the race, but call the caution, says Luop. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of different ways you can go about it, just as long as you're consistent about it. Just have a consistent stance on it, or a consistent policy on it. Where if it's a caution, the first 3 quarters of the race, it's a caution for the last 10 laps of the race as well. None of this situational. It's not a caution because it's the end of the race. If it's a caution, it's a caution. If it's not a caution, it's not a caution. Just got to be consistent with it. That's the first problem that needs to be fixed. After that, it becomes, in my opinion, it becomes arbitrary, because that's the main thing that needs to be fixed. It's up to preference, is what I mean by arbitrary. Salutations, OJ, says Lovey Barkley. Being a new fan, I looked out with my first IRL race that was in Bristol last year with the tire issues. It was Discord's live report. Yeah, you were the Discord live reporter. I remember that. You the man. You got to meet your boy Ross as well, so that was cool. And you reported that he's a nice dude. So good on you for that. On that matter, I laughed my butt off. What a fun day that was, for sure, man. Bristol, one of the better tracks for sure. If you get a chance to go to Bristol, always take it. I'm team scheduled distances like this. Like that's what I'm on too. Like, just goes the scheduled distance. If they keep wrecking at the end, that's on them, because they know it's just going to the scheduled distance. So they can wreck somebody, but they just guaranteed whoever's in front of them won the race and not them. So you can't get a situation where somebody could possibly, not saying anybody's ever done it, could possibly wreck somebody to make up some ground and then take a stab at the end. You see it a lot in the truck series. I'm not saying they do it on purpose, just saying you see it a lot in the truck series. I don't watch the green, white checkers. If it comes to that, I turn it off and check later to see who won, says Ronald Russell. Probably save yourself hours of time per race when that happens. Paul Backwards says, Luop, will Hocevar make the playoffs, says Dirty Diff. I think he wins a race this year, so I'm going to lean toward yes as far as Hocevar making the playoffs, for sure. Here is a effed up idea. We cannot get a drone photo. Here's an effed up idea. Why can we not get a drone photo on the last lap, says T-Van. I don't know. I'm sure you could. 100%. LOL, first corner issues, says Luop. Oh, that's any road course. There's always a chance that'll happen. Will Hocevar get in another altercation this year? 100%, OJ and Toothpaste. 100%. He is going to wreck somebody else, and somebody else is going to have something to say about it. I don't know about altercation. It'll be like a race car altercation where they chat about it vigorously. He's getting in 5. Says Lovey Barkley, talking about he's going to get in 5 altercations. Dang fantasy, I'm a 3-way tie for 11th, but at least I'm not 27th or whatever. I was to start after the Daytona tragedy, says Shaw. So yeah, hopefully all the big one races are out of our way for a little while till Dega. So real season starts now, like they say. Still can have stage racing without slowing to caution to keep it running, says Mark. I agree. You can keep the stages, just stop it with the caution. That's my issue with it on road courses. But then Michael McDowell smoked them, and everybody cried about that when they tried that. So you're never going to please anybody, and that's the problem. In my opinion, that's the biggest problem with NASCAR right now. They're trying to please everybody, and they're pleasing nobody. And they just need to go back to Big Bill France, where they're like, this is how it's going to be done. Oh, well, if you don't like it. And it's hard to say it like that, but that's what they need to do, because they've just been so inconsistent here for a while. Oh, shoot, that's pretty dope, says Russell Dominguez. Hendrick finishes 1st through 4th at Coda. Named the lineup 9, 24, 5, and 48. So there you go. That's Luop's lineup. Not with the 87, 88, and 16 out there, says Lovey Barkley. All caution stops, says Luop. Could be. Very, very well could be. I think it was Chase Elliott or no Kyle Larson or Corey Heim show. They said took out the betting spot, plural. Says Luop. So there you go. That's what I'm saying. It's just going to depend. If they can't pass, then obviously I will say that it was a mistake. But I want to see it play out before I make any judgment. I don't want to be predictive, because I don't want to get my hopes up or down about it. I just want to see what happens, what it is, what it does, and then pass judgment on it after that. Luca is going to get 82 tonight? ? Says Russell. I don't know. I think he will put up some numbers. It probably will be a little retribution payback game or whatever for Lucas. So he's going to put up some shots. I'll put it to you that way. If I'm a driver that Carson made that comment about, I would definitely have to make him an honorary member of the Backstreet Boys next time I got close to him on the tracks. Says Dirty Death. I like how Door Bumper Clear has different drivers on. A good way to show some character. Says like this, like yeah. Mike Davis organizes everything over there at Dirty Mo. He's done in my opinion, he's done a great job with all the content this year and trying some new shows out as well. Maybe NASCAR is banking on the 2311 deal going bad for them in 2311. NASCAR needs to open their eyes up. Says Luop. Yeah, but DBC's been so short and quick lately. Says Luop. Yeah, I don't know necessarily what their strategy is with that. I don't know if they looked at the other. They're probably looking at some analytics. Is all I'll get into. I don't want to talk about their show without actually looking at their analytics. They probably looked at some analytics and decided to shorten the show. Would be my guess though. Yeah, NASCAR needs to fire and rehire if they want to fix the whole caution stuff. It's all about the show to them, whoever is up there now. Yeah, and as long as you're inconsistent, that is an argument that can definitely be made. That's why I'm saying they need to just have a consistent caution policy. That's the biggest issue they need to fix first, for sure. With the shorter track, how will this change the normal road course strategy, says Brickyard Brickhead? Well, you'll be able to go further on a tank of gas. Other than that, everybody's still going to pit at the same time because of where the stage breaks are going to be. Anyone else notice 2311 stealing all of NASCAR sponsors, for example, Monster Energy and Xfinity, says Lovey. Hey, NASCAR will steal them right back. If you're a team, NASCAR will try to steal your sponsors too. So turnabout is fair play. I got no problem with it. Late to the party. What's up, say Kyle? Always good to see you on here, my man. Saying hey to all. Luop says that's because NASCAR wants too much sponsorship, and it's more like NASCAR stealing from the teams. If you really look at the teams, are lucky if NASCAR approves them. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Turnabout's fair play. NASCAR steals from the teams as well. If steals, like you go out and make an offer, and if that person wants to sponsor you, they sponsor you. If they don't, they don't. You can't you can't steal a sponsor. I've always made this argument. You can't steal a sponsor from somebody. It's the sponsor's decision where that sponsor wants to spend money. There's no. I've never the whole you stole my sponsor. It's an interesting mentality within racing. I'll say that. I didn't like Red Bull Cola, says OJ and toothpaste. I can't say I remember it. I don't think I ever tried it. If I did, it wasn't remarkable. It wasn't remarkable. I'll say that. It's Heim time, y'all, says Tom Strawmeyer. Indeed, Corey Heim finally going to make some cup series. Well, he drove for Eric Jones last year, at least one race. I remember that. But he's finally going to get some extended starts, more than one or two starts there. Race to the scheduled distance and have the car cause a wreck in the back of the field when their teammate is leading with 2 to 3 laps to go. Exactly. You can manipulate it either way. No doubt about that. 77 is definitely going to get knocked out either behind the wheel or on pit road within the next year or two if he keeps it up, says Luop. Yeah, somebody will take issue with him and lay the hammer down. You saw Kyle Busch had finally had enough with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at the All-Star race, and he just straight sent him just for no reason. He was just like, I just don't like you. I'm just gonna wreck you. So you could see somebody get to that level with the 7 as well. Might be the same. Might be the 8 car again. Lovey saying what's up to OJ. OJ say Kyle saying what's up to Lovey. Come on, Michael McDowell. No caution race was really boring. I remember fighting to stay awake, says Luop. Again, I agree with Dirty D. Just go with the scheduled laps. Yeah, that's what I think so too. Like that's my take on it, but it's not popular. So just from reading previous comments, haven't got a chance to read the comments on the previous video, so apologize for that. Haven't got to any of them yet, but I'll try to get to them tonight. After I'm 15th after Super Speedway Madness. You all should be scared. Now the real game starts. Who's coming in second behind me? Says Say Kyle. Change all. I'm fixing to run out of Austin Cindric starts, so I got to. I'm gonna have to bench Austin Cindric. I've started him the first 2 races. Let's see. I'm 15th after the Super Speedway Madness. You all should be scared. I just read that one. Sorry. Change all 1.5 to the Atlanta configuration. Speaking of it, let me grab the fantasy thing now. Sitting in first place is Bruce, the American Eagle, with the Ford logo there at 329. 328, 1 point behind is Chasing Dubs. Redneck Racing 79, 320. Explanation Point at 311 is in fourth. Enzo sitting there in fifth. I'm in sixth. Catskill Mountain Racing in 7th. One Wise Guy is in 8th. Seekonk Speedway Gal is 284. And hopefully I'm saying that right. And Like Dislike is the 10th place man at 282. Outside of the top 10 looking in is going to be Zachary Mungro, tied for 11th with Tommy Dubs. So there you go. And Shaw. There we go. Three-way tie for 11th. Zach, Tommy, and Shaw. Three-way tie for 11th there. All right. Jump back to the comments here. Change all half miles to the Atlanta configuration, says Massey Ferguson. Don't give NASCAR any ideas. They'll do it. Great racing. 87 will make all the young boys feel dumb. Says Luop. He's good, man. He's really good at road courses. There's no doubt about that. I think he's going to be a really good talent. Let's see. Go the scheduled laps. Drivers screw themselves wrecking. And as long as NASCAR is serious about penalizing race manipulation, it's the way to go. Teams could really screw with finishes if not. That's a fair statement too, Shaw. Hey, boy, can you show that number 4 car to the right side of your hat up on the shelf? Let's see. Above the RCR hat. So there's there. It's Kevin Harvick's. It's got stuff on top of it, but there you go. Kevin Harvick's last win. That's what that car is. This box. Yeah, that box is probably going to fall down if I move anything else. But yeah, there you go. It was the Bud Apple car. Kevin Harvick's last win. Let's see here. And it is standard. It's the standard race win, not the elite or anything like that. Let's see. I was all for no cautions at the road course until Indy Watkins Glen and under 2 hours with no passing. I'm all for it, but not with this car. I think Xfinity cars would be more enjoyable with no brakes. Yeah, I mean, it just depends. My only issue with it is it was one race and everybody immediately gave up on it. Like, can we get more than one race? That's all I'm saying. I'd like a bigger sample size than one race didn't go the way we liked it. That's like I tried riding a bicycle once. It didn't work for me, so I quit. Like, can we give it at least 2 or 3 races before we say that sucked and we're not going to try it anymore? Just saying. Just saying. Bucky's, I hope, sponsors a team full time, says OJ and Toothpaste. They look like they're kind of interested in it. So we'll see. We'll see if they somehow get involved or something like that. One thing NASCAR and F1 have in common, terrible leadership, says Lovey Barkley. You haven't been in sales then. It's called selling yourself, says Luop. I'm not going to lie. I lost a little respect for Richard when he was crying and belly aching about Smithfield being stolen. Chump move. Yeah, that was really interesting. I agree. I'm not going to say I lost respect for him, but I thought it was not the best look. I'll say that. It was not a move I would have made, but I'm never going to say anything bad about the King. He's my dude. But yeah, it wasn't the way I would have handled that situation. I just would have took it on the chin and tried to get another sponsor. But I think the added pressure there, the reason he acted like that is because they were at that particular time super close to closing the doors, and they ended up having to, basically partner with GMS to keep it going. So I think it wasn't normal Richard Petty, to be honest. I think there was a lot of pressure that the whole thing was about to collapse and fold. And basically eventually did. It's because it's now legacy. So I think that's probably where that came from. Do you think Fox will ever make any director of show changes or anything? Nope. Because I feel like I'm watching a show from 10 years ago with a few races and a slower call. Says Luop. Yeah, I don't think they're going to make any changes. I think they're happy with what they got, and I think they're going to focus all their energy for a few years at least on IndyCar. NASCAR should get the old-time Cup owners together for meetings to figure out how to fix NASCAR, says Massey Ferguson. One Wise Guy dropped the merch link, so if you want to buy a t-shirt, hat, or sweatshirt, there is the merch link right there. The one car scheme does look great for Sunday. It is a good looking car. Trackhouse always does a pretty good job, in my opinion, and that's another banger from them. Here's an interesting question. At least in my opinion, the France family sold the majority. If the France family sold the majority shares, do we think the racing would be better? It depends on who they sold it to and how it was configured. That's open-ended. That's so open-ended. It's impossible to properly answer. It would depend on who they sold it to. Would be the only thing I could say there. Shaw saying he thinks it will be 50-50. 2 weeks of my fantasy picks getting destroyed, says one wise guy. Real season starts today, wise guy. Fear not, my friend. The current war crime counter is Briscoe 2, Custer 2, Stenhouse 2, Larson 1, Logano 1, Hosevar 1. So there you go. Lovey Barkley keeping your war crime stats for races this year, and saying what's up to one wise guy as well. It'll be funny when the CW Xfinity Series beats Cup on Fox Sports 1 in the ratings. Says like dislike. That's going to be if it happens. That will be pretty hilarious. BB, I'm coming for you in fantasy. That's my goal. That's my dream. Says Shy. Well, hopefully you'll beat me. Hopefully, whoever finishes number one, we'll just get up with whoever's number one. We're going to send you a T-shirt and a hat or something like that. So yeah, I'm not going to get super competitive about it. You guys have fun. If you beat me, congratulations. If you don't, there's always next year. Who is your pick to win Saturday's Xfinity Series race? Connor Zilich. I'm going to go with Connor Zilich there. I've watched a few of his Trans Am races. The kid is good. I can't wait till he can grow hair on his face, says Luop. What's up, Lovey? Says one wise guy. Rosie, don't forget to hit the like button. It's free. Appreciate you there, Rosie. Always good to see Rosie on the channel. Nashville Super Speedway would be better if it had higher banking, says Mark63. Yeah, banking always helps, man. Like banking, for the most part, banking always helps. Last check, says Luop. I'm ranked 16th with 272. I'm not far behind. Yeah, everybody's pretty close right now, so nobody's out of it for sure. Everybody's within at least 100 or so points. Hey, I've watched Jeff Gordon, Tony store a couple other heads, pretty much go and finish and end it, and it just reminded me that it was a sleepy Sunday, says Luop. To be fair, it was 2 races, Indy and Watkins Glen, like back-to-back weekends, but I still agree with your premise, says Dirty Def. I can't believe I used to wish for overtime when a race ended under caution at the scheduled distance. I had no idea it would turn into such a cluster. Yeah, the green white checkers. Yeah, I don't know. I just never really wanted it. Like, I understand the allure of it. You're always going to get a finish. You're almost guaranteed to get two green white checkers every time. But I understand the allure to it. But the scheduled distance is the scheduled distance, and that's what you race to. And I just feel like I don't know. I just don't like that you go past the scheduled distance because it's as a race team, it's impossible to plan for. So I just don't like it from that aspect. I just don't like it from that aspect. And that's a personal preference. Like if you disagree, that's fine too. Fighting the urge to say what I really want to say because it's just a lot of cuss words about green, white, checkered. So I'm just going to keep it to myself, and we'll keep rolling here. They're bringing both Red Bull cars this weekend. Correct, Trackhouse, says Lou up. I think this is both of them. I think both cars will be Red Bull this week, but I'll have to double check that. But I think you're right on that. It would make sense because Austin would be a Red Bull, would be a event Red Bull wanted to be at. So pretty sure that there will both be Red Bull cars off the top of my head. I don't mind the stages, but agree the stage cautions could go, especially at road courses and super speedways, would probably help with 20% throttle in the first 2 stages at super speedways. BB, thoughts on winning? Also whining about a driver with no affiliation, not pushing a driver that's the same manufacturer as them, basically saying you should let my car win because you have the same emblem. There's always going to be that from the manufacturers. So and the people from the people who pull for that manufacturer that lost, you're going to hear the same thing too. At the end of the day, just make the move that you think is best going to help you as a race car driver, and don't worry about it. Yeah, I better have a good weekend in fantasy. I am dog crap so far, says OJ and Toothpaste. My point about Atlanta is it's great racing. Try sitting through Charlotte, a whole race that can't be done. Boring, says Massey Ferguson. I've sat through plenty of Charlotte races for the entire thing. So it is what it is. Everybody has their own preference, though. So if you like the Atlanta racing, there's nothing wrong with that, my man. Nothing wrong. But the only thing about taking every mile and a half and adding the banking like that is it makes it sounds crazy right now because it's exciting. But if it's all you see just about every single race, it'll eventually get boring too. I promise. I know it sounds insane, but I'm being dead serious. It's just the way the human brain works. After a while, even it's like listening to the same song over and over again. It can be your favorite song, but after hearing it for the 500th time, you're just like, whatever. That's why those really poppy songs, when you hear them the first two or three songs, you're like, oh, that's a pretty good song. But by the time the radio has played it for the 500th time, you're like, dear God, if I hear what was that song? Come My Lady, Come My Lady. If I hear that song one more time, I'm going to jump out of this car while it's moving and meet Jesus. So that's what I'm saying. If too much of anything is bad, I guess is probably the best way to say that. Rest in peace to the lead singer of Crazy Town. I recently lost him. I just thought about that. So pick probably the worst song to talk about there. Do you think this is the last year of the Roval? I don't think so. I think the Roval is here to stay. I know people don't like it, but I think the Roval is going to be here to stay. Mad respect for Hocevar after his comments. I agree with you 100%, Tommy Dubs. He didn't back down, and that's all. That's honestly all I want to see out of a race car driver. Ford works so well together that it hurts to see at times. I don't think any Chevy driver would have pushed him to the win, so I don't blame him, says Tommy Dubs. Not only that, but he didn't know the caution was coming out right there. He was pushing Bell to pass both of those cars. He didn't know that the 21 and the 11 had gotten together and were wrecking behind him. He was trying to win the race. So all these people are like, he pushed the Toyota to the win. He didn't push a Toyota to the win. He pushed the Toyota out of his way trying to win the race himself. So it's 2020 hindsight, but he didn't know that they were wrecking behind him and that the caution was going to come out. As far as he knew, he was racing back to the checkered flag. So it is what it is. The big weekend for Trackhouse with SVG, Zilich, Chastain, and Suarez should be a player up front with one of those. Yeah, I would say for sure one of those guys is going to have a really good chance of winning this race. Obviously, AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, you're going to want to throw them in that mix as well. Austin Cindric, Chase Elliott, William Byron. Best average finish here from the last 5 or 6 races, or from the last, how many races have we run here? 3? Yeah, from the last 3 races, though, the best average finish, I'm just going to go ahead and give you that fantasy pick right now, Alex Bowman. So don't sleep on Alex Bowman here either. I agree with the green-white checkers. 12, that's good, but guaranteed to get a crash or 2 or 3 or 4, says Lou Up. Agreed. Spicy Nugs cracks me up. Okay. So Spicy Nugs cracks up Shaw. All the drivers are against racing back to the line. And it really makes me appreciate the drivers that competed back in the day. These guys went out to make the sport become what it is. Yeah, I agree. I agree. But it is what it is. I mean, it's just it's a different era. Like the Josh Berry deal, it just depends on how you want to argue it. He was in the line of fire. In NASCAR's opinion, they couldn't have slowed down for him, so that had to be a caution there. But from NASCAR's perspective, I don't know. But yeah, back in the day, they used to race to the checkered flag. Period. It didn't matter. There were some sketchy situations too, and that's why they stopped doing that. Spicy Nugs, put some hot sauce on that thing. Says Shaw. I agree with you on the human brain. Says Luop. I love Atlanta because it's Atlanta. I do not want to see 20 of them, though, says Shaw. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What would be best is if each track had its own personality. Like Darlington puts on great races because the finish 9 times out of 10 is going to be crazy. Atlanta always has good finishes now that it's been reconfigured like it is. Talladega and Daytona, you know what you're getting there. It's always going to be good, tight pack racing. Atlanta's pack racing, but it's a different type of pack racing. Bristol, when Bristol was good, you knew what you were getting. Everybody was going for that bottom groove, and they were going to try to work the man out of the way. Same thing with Martinsville. When Martinsville was good, you were going to move that guy out of the way. Richmond, when Richmond was good, you had 3 or 4 grooves, and you could make them work. So each racetrack used to have its own personality. Now the tires are too wide. The cars are all kit cars, and it's not a solid rear axle, so you're not going to get the same type of racing on circle tracks with an independent rear suspension. So it's just different. So they're going to have to figure out different things for different tracks to make the tracks interesting. But I don't think they all need to be made like Atlanta because it would be too much of one type of racing, is what I'm getting at. That being said, Atlanta is great racing. I'm not disagreeing with you. That's a great point. Like Atlanta is a very exciting race. To your point, Atlanta more exciting in your opinion than Charlotte. From your point of view. So for sure, we need to get a personality. Each racetrack needs to have a personality that is exciting to that racetrack, is what I'm trying to get at. And give NASCAR some time. Hopefully they get there. They're starting to sort of get there with the tire fall off at some tracks with the tire option and things like that. So let's not NASCAR is trying. So let's give them credit for trying. We might not always agree with what they do, but let's give them a little bit of a little bit of credit for they are at least trying stuff. So shout out to them there. The kit car still sucks though. I stand by my guns on that. Racing used to be so simple. Green flag to checker flag says like dislike. Yep, it is what it is. It's different day. Lou Up, we're used to like road racing in NASCAR because there was two a year, and then it got real good and went crazy. Softer tire, groove tread, something maybe. No spoiler at all. Says Lou Up. Yeah, I think part of the problem for road courses, they've made the car too good. The tires are too wide. That's a big part of it. We would do without stage cautions and lucky dogs, says Timber Race. The 21 shows promise. Do you think he will transfer to the intermediate or the short tracks? I think short tracks for sure. They've got probably the best, if not the best, short track racer in the Cup Series. So short tracks, I can almost guarantee he'll be good at. Intermediates, I think he'll be fine. So yeah, I do think it'll transfer there. NASCAR now with Alan Bestwick, Ricky Craven, and Ray Evernham was good too, says OJ and Toothpaste. Indeed, that was a good lineup for sure. Fun fact, Ozfest 2001 in Tampa, Crazy Town, was pelted with bottles to the point where they only played one song before walking off stage. Good times. Hey, Florida man in the house. Are you getting excited for the Florida games that happened this week? Hopefully you'll be in town for at least 1 or 2 days to check that out. Teams, check it out wherever they're at. I'm sure you can watch it somewhere. Let's see. Moved up to 5th in fantasy standings. Byron Crash messed me up, says Enzo. Me too, because I had Cindric and that I was doing really good. I was doing really good till that happened. A lot of people think he wasn't trying to win. Is amazing. It must be new race car fans. I agree with you. Get up, get out of the way, and get out of the way, and get out of the way to the way 2020. My only argument for keeping the green white checkered is I would feel horrible for Kyle Busch if he never won a Daytona 500 after leading the 500th mile in 2023. And I'm not even a KB fan, says Jesse Daly. That's a good point. Like it does change outcomes of races too, and who wins what race. So in this particular situation, specifically Kyle Busch, but yeah, for sure. Come My Lady might be a great Discord song, says T-Van. Kyle Busch said Carson filled in the way too close to the gaps and shoved him in the fence in stage 1, says OJ. Yeah, he was not happy in stage 1 about it. The Prez helped the ratings, says Next Gen. There might be some truth to that. I don't know. I didn't even think about that. But he wasn't at Atlanta, so the ratings overall boding well. I think it was a 1%. It was a 1% jump for the Cup Series this race. So even without the president there, at Atlanta, it was still a bump in ratings. Josh Berry is fine. Anyone under the age of 25 is questionable, says Lou. That's what's changed NASCAR so much. It wasn't for people like Kyle and Denny. Even Joey Logano, people wouldn't even know what NASCAR is. I think canceling the damaged vehicle policy is good for the sport, and debris cautions are good for the show, says Sir Wood Rooster. There you go. That's a good point. NASCAR would just bring back the debris caution when it got boring. OJ and everyone else, Carson is racing like a young Kyle Busch. He's very aggressive, that's for sure. I think he's going to be special. I've been to at least a dozen 600. Single file racing is all it is, says Massey Ferguson. Yeah, I've been to a bunch of them too. It just is what it is. They're just trying to get the car to the transition stage when it turns to nighttime, and then they turn up the wick. So you're just trying not to wreck your junk in the first half of the race till the sun goes down. Problem with tracks, and this is just my opinion, is they wait too long on repaves. I don't want to see cars jump around and vibrate all race long. That's on the track owners, says Shaw. Stop buying tickets, says Lovey Barkley. Has anybody been able to download the new NASCAR Hauler Talk? Because every time they go on YouTube, it never shows up, says Stephen D'Amelio Jr. I have not listened to that one yet, so I'll have to investigate that one. A lot of new shows out, so I don't think I've tried that one yet. Yeah, they need to change it up, slump them to the ground, certain places, no spoilers, other shredded tires, maybe a hole in the headlight and flaps in the rear. They're just opening up, says Lou Up. They free though my machine shop. They're free though through my machine shop. Says Massey Ferguson. Uh, I'm lost as far as that goes. New tire at Coda this weekend as well. The same soft tire they ran at Watkins Glen last year, which is a lot better race than it had been. Says Dirty Def. Uh, yeah, hopefully the new tire will be well received. We'll put it that way. I'm sorry, but big tires is not the only reason the drivers have gotten better. The car is better. Yeah, the car is a road course car now, so that's what I'm saying. But the tires are way too big. The tires are way too wide. I mean, it is probably built for street courses before the idea of going around in a circle. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Like at road courses specifically, the tires are just way too big because you don't have any horsepower. Like it'd be different if they still had 1,000 horsepower. Then you might have a conversation. But with this low amount of horsepower and that wide freaking tire, it's not you got too much grip. Hey BB got sick 2 days after the clash with NASCAR. Would quit. Wish NASCAR would quit shooting themselves in the foot. Hope you feel better, by the way, Roger. Would quit shooting themselves in the foot with the last lap cautions. Can't complain. At least I can say I've been to the clash once in my life. Hey, so there you go. I got one clash in. It's not the tire. Maybe smaller fuel cells. Just something to make the car slide around. That is the thing we need to all ask for. It's called horsepower. Well, there you go. You're on track with it. It was great. That was what was great about NASCAR. Talking about the horsepower. Unfortunately, not on the road until we go to Vegas for the race. No swamp puppies and pub subs for me. Says say Kyle. So there you go. There you go. He's going to miss the Florida games, but that's all right. You can watch him on. I think Florida Man is probably going to have some coverage on his Instagram. Let's see, BB. What's your favorite nickname of a current driver? Says Lovey Barkley. Oh, I don't know. The Watermelon Man's pretty good for Ross Chastain. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. My brain's totally in a different gear, so I can't, I can't jump to him. Watermelon Man is the only one off the top of my head that I really think is good. The Daytona 511 live on Fox this year, says Luop. BB, I was watching the 2004 Aaron's 499, and I saw you in the stands. Throw your Budweiser at the 24 car when he beat Dale Jr. with the angry crowd. Says OJ and toothpaste. Well, first off, we know that's a lie because I wouldn't have been drinking Budweiser. It would have been a Coors if it was anything. So, but yeah, that was not me. It was some other kids. Off subject. Glad to see the Rock is back. Says Massey Ferguson. Let's see. Yeah, the Rock coming back is going to be a big story too. When Easter rolls around, there was a lot of angry people on Discord with the number 2 and number 5 incident. Says says OJ and toothpaste. There was a lot of angry people there, and 3 of them were Quattro. Let's be real. Quattro was not having a good day about that, but we still love you, Quattro. I'm just picking at you a little bit, brother. Is Harrison Burton as bad as I insist he is, or did the 21 team make a significant? I think Harrison Burton just came up too early, and you're getting a peak Josh Berry. So there's a confluence of 2 things going on there. I think Harrison Burton is going to get some seasoning in the Xfinity Series this time, and he's going to come back much like Cole Custer is going to come back, like Cole Custer has come back this year, and he's just going to be a much better driver when he comes back. And I do think he'll eventually make it back, or I hope he at least makes it back. No, Kyle kept the car underneath them. Carson knows Spring Ram as a vehicle and tougher than the trucks or Xfinity. Drives like a dump truck, so he will drive it like one, says Luop. That's what I'm saying. Look, it's a matter of time before somebody figured out what these cars are and started using it. You can be mad at Carson Hocevar all you want, but he knows what these cars can do. And the only thing that matters in a race is what you can and can't do. He can move people out of the way and not ruin his car, so he's doing it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it, but you can do that with this car, and that's a design problem on NASCAR's part. Or NASCAR's not throwing the over-aggressive driving or whatever you want to call it penalty on drivers that do that. However you want to look at it. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what you can and can't do. And he's doing what he can do until he's told that he can't do it. Like when they had to tell Ross Chastain that you can't cut through whatever that shortcut was at Indianapolis on the road course. Do it until they tell you can't do it. Ask for forgiveness, not permission. Most likely stay there after Coda, Brad K at the bottom of the points, or John Hunter Nemechek. And I'm not saying it's the greatest way to race or anything like that. I'm just saying do it until they tell you can't do it. Both seem unlikely, says Dirty Def. Oh, Brad K is going to come up. John Hunter Nemechek is streaky, so he might stay there for a while. But he's always been streaky. Every division he's ever run in. So I think he's eventually going to have like a little cold spurt. So I would say Brad K comes up would be more likely than John Hunter Nemechek staying like in the top 10 or whatever. They threw out a mysterious debris caution. John Hunter Nemechek can definitely make the playoffs though. Now, I'm not counting him out. They threw a mysterious debris caution at Daytona to help with fuel problems. Says like dislike. They did, but I will say this for NASCAR. Well, Fox didn't show it, but I'll say this for NASCAR. They did show that particular piece of metal sitting on the track on Twitter. So you could find it on Twitter. I caught the tail end of that. OJ says, one wise guy. Yeah, it's not even worth watching. Hauler talk. Very, very dry and they're trying too hard. Says Lou up. Sweet. I didn't know I was getting a new tire. Anything can help. Rockingham will be awesome. Hope Casey Kane has a great return. Yeah, that's going to be one of the bigger stories for Rockingham too. The Casey Kane deal. It's 20 millimeters bigger than the rear tire on a Porsche 911. It's not exact. It's not that bad exactly. They need horsepower. That's what I'm saying. The horsepower, the tire isn't necessarily the issue, but the lack of horsepower and a bigger tire, that is an issue for sure. So we're vehemently agreeing with each other. Let's see. Jesse Daly, has there been any announcement about option tires this year? What tracks they should be run at? Says Jesse Daly. Let's see. I think it's just the mile and under tracks that are gonna run them. Elise, what's up, my friend? Always good to see you on here. Sir Wood Rooster, what comes first? If either 5 lug nuts or more horsepower? I would say more horsepower. I don't think they're going away from the single lug nut. Bro, love the show. New, but always a great view. Thanks. Appreciate you, Lou Up. No doubt about it. Hung Money. There you go. Hung Money, Kyle Larson fan as well. Says Lou Up. Sorry, I'm late. I had dinner with my husband tonight. Fried catfish always comes first. Fried catfish is pretty good. So I totally understand that. Let's see. Better Frito, the original, chili cheese or honey twists. I like the original personally. I don't like the flavors on them. Like if anything, I'll put my own chili and stuff on them or something like that. Ross the Boss says Dirty Diff. Ross the Boss is a pretty good one. If they really cared about safety first, we wouldn't have unlimited overtime. Let them finish the race. Let them race to the finish line if they are in turn 4. Simple in my point of view. Yeah, just go. I like just going to the distance, and then as long as it's not like a safety issue, race to the checkered flag. Hamlin said that he had been messing up the new turn 6 at Coda in the simulator. I bet that happens a lot this week. Probably. I remember when I was racing Forza, sometimes you'd race a different configuration of the track and just muscle memory. Where they changed it and you were supposed to go left, you would immediately hook a right and you're going like straight into the barrier and you're like, oh crap. So it's there. You probably will see at least 1 or 2 of those for sure. Me too, Kyle. Wrecked the crap out of Junior. LOL. Great night, says Lou Up. That started the Kyle Busch Dale Jr. rivalry there. That one did. LOL. That was funny. Says OJ and Toothpaste, one wise guy. Harrison did real good this past weekend, says Lou Up. Yeah, I think he's going to get some seasoning, and he's going to come back when he's. I just think they rushed him. He was way too early for him to go to Cup. I understand the logic there because it was a new car and it was a new car for everybody, but just he didn't have enough experience, unfortunately. 2-car got that HMS double tap, says like dislike. Did you see Ross's bullhorn scheme? It is. I did. It is a good scheme. Bush and Trackhouse continue with the good scheme there. The crowd reaction when Bush wrecked Junior was legendary. In 2008, surprise Kyle made it out alive that night, says OJ and Toothpaste. 21 team brought in a Penske engineer to be the crew chief, supposedly more linked to Penske. Be curious to see how they perform everywhere else. He can win. I think before Aspire 77 goes first, says Lou Up. By the way, I bought a Hocevar shirt. He's my new guy. I decided I'm going to cheer for the heel, says Elise. So Elise going with the heel. She likes the bad guys. Speaking of heels, happy birthday to Ric Flair, 76 today. I want to bring that up one more time. Formula One question: thoughts on a driver potentially getting suspended for a month for swearing? That's such bullshit. Like there's Formula One's so stupid. See what I did there? Anyway, do it till they call you to the NASCAR hauler. Says Lou Up. Exactly. That's exactly where I'm at with it, Lou Up. Your thoughts on the poll? My thoughts on the poll: I do think Thor Sport's probably going to go to. I don't think it has anything to do with Ranger leaving, but I do think Thor Sport has to be one of the things that Dodge. They would have to have somebody in place. So if it's not Thor Sport, I do think it's going to be Thor Sport though. It would be somebody to Thor Sports level. It's not going to probably be Spire, but Spire could make sense too from the aspect of you would get a cup team and a truck team. So uh, it's going to be a big team like that. So either Thor Sport or Spire. What if they get both of them? We don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. But I would lean toward if it's not Thor Sport, it's Spire or somebody just as big to finish off that thought. Well, I'll be darned. Dale Jr.'s wife has a show on Dirty Mo called Bless Your Heart. Luop, Nemechek is going to fall like a rock this weekend, says Luop. So he doesn't think Nemechek's much of a road course racer. Somebody that would agree with Luop there would be Cole Custer, who hit him with the spear after a road course 1 year. Phoenix will have an option tire. So Phoenix is going to have the option tire if it works out well or something like that. I do remember an article about that. I just thought they were only doing Phoenix. Hocevar bumping a few drivers is no big deal. Earnhardt became a legend by doing the same thing, says Delmer Kaufman. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You either like aggressive drivers or you don't. Who will have a better season, Hocevar or Gibbs? Oh, that's a good question. Gibbs is in better equipment. It'll probably be a push, to be totally honest. I'm going to say it's going to be unpopular, but I think that Ty Gibbs is going to have the better season because he's sitting in better equipment. So that's my rationale there. But I think it's going to be super close, super close. I went to Jerry Bob's restaurant and they had a catfish omelet for the special. Definitely stayed far away from that, says OJ and Toothpaste. What? You don't want catfish omelet, man? That's delicious. You got to try it. Get you some mountain oysters with it as well. Delicious. The Penske Musketeers, 2311's Untied Shoes, and Jimmy Johnson's food delivery service. Joe Gibbs Foundation funds Hendrick Motorsports Cars. I don't know where I was going with this. My bad, says Lou Up. John Bradburn, what's up, my friend? Good to see you on here. I'm starting to think Ty Gibbs is going to be a bust. He just isn't improving at all, says Elise. Yeah, we'll see. It took Chase 3 years, so I'm gonna give Teasus 3 years as well. That's got me liking Junior and Kyle, says Lou Up. Could that be being brought up way too early? That's a good point too. I do agree with you there. I think they brought Ty up too early too, but Joe Gibbs' equipment is so good that he's had a better run than some other people that were brought up too early. Then the police escorted him out of the infield that night, talking about Kyle Busch is the only time I can remember my buddy wanting to wait after a race. Usually we raced out. At least hitting the woo there. So there you go. That's actually the name of the energy drink from Ric Flair as well. Not sponsored, just having fun. Laughing my butt off to the F1 cursing suspension, says OJ and Toothpaste. A bad boy that's funny. The 77 car up the bad guy. It's more like a driver's permit or whatever it says on those cars, teaching people for the student driving. Where was that here? Teaching people to drive student driver 77 rear panel. Humor them. OJ, they don't even allow fans to boo teams now. It's unreal. It says Elise. Yeah, F1 getting super dumb with their stuff there. I agree with that. Barkley, that will never happen. You ever heard Sean Leclerc and Max Verstappen talk during a race? Says OJ and Toothpaste. Something I just thought about after how will driving a Chevrolet now affect McDowell's performance at road courses. Chevy has been better recently. So you think he would be better with those HMS notes? It'll be interesting. Because front row is going to be better this year because they have a tighter alliance. They're a tier 1 Ford team and a tighter alliance with they're with Penske now, I think. I'm trying to remember. But so both the car he was sitting in will be better, but also he's sitting with which, like you're saying, HMS notes. So probably about the same. But he's always had an opportunity to win these races too. So I think he'll have as good a shot to win this race as he always has. But I think both pieces of equipment where he's sitting in the front row stuff would be just as good this year too, because front row has improved themselves again. I guess is what I'm trying to get at there. BB, what was the first race you ever saw? The first race I ever saw, I was so little I don't remember, but it was I was at Darlington. I was a little kid. I don't remember it. Dale Earnhardt won, so I've seen Dale Earnhardt Senior win. I was just little, and I don't remember it. I remember being there. I was too young to put it all together. So that would be the first race I saw as far as the Cup Series goes. Orange County Speedway would be the first like local short track race or whatever I saw. Who did Martin Truex Jr. In Orange County in North Carolina, not Orange County Fairgrounds in New York? Who did Martin Truex Jr. run for at Daytona? He ran for Tricon Garage in Daytona. What did you make of Seabell's comment? I love super speedways. Says one wise. I'm glad he showed some personality. He's a guy that needs to show personality because they just don't talk about him a lot. Tricon Garage, says Lovey Barkley. Elise, no way. I would definitely get kicked out, says OJ and Toothpaste. Tricon, says Elise. Thanks, says like dislike. 77 better than Gibbs, and everyone likes an aggressive driver. Till he wrecks the driver you like the most. There's nothing wrong with aggression at a certain point. Not 10 laps into the race though, says Luop. So yeah, there you go. You just got to figure out. And they always do. They always do. It always starts out the same way. They're aggressive for the whole race, then they figure it out that they just get aggressive for the last 50 laps, or when they feel like being aggressive midway through the race and doing a little payback on somebody. OJ, yeah, that's some real BS. Thanks, says like dislike. I got to bounce. I have to start driving at 2:30 a.m. Stay safe. Thanks for hanging out with us. Say Kyle. See y'all Sunday. He says. Hi Gibbs. Sorry, Jill Gibbs. I mean, yes, Ty Gibbs. Right is next. The new Austin Dillon, says Luop. Do you think Parker Kligerman got the shaft after hearing he was an eighth of an inch off and a mistake by NASCAR? No crew members present during inspection. What have you heard? It sounds like from Parker Kligerman's team's perspective, they had some inexperienced officials that didn't know what they were doing. That's the argument that they're making. So it just depends on who you believe. I wasn't there, so who knows? I don't know if I think Toyota is so great anymore. I feel like Ford and Chevrolet are better, says Shah. Ford first, says Shah. Penske, FRM, and then Brad's got the rest of the Fords, says Luop. So there you go. It is Front Row Motorsports with Penske. But it's early in the season, says Shah. It took Byron 3 years to win in HMS equipment, and he was really young too when he came to Cup. Pump the brakes on Ty Gibbs. Bus talk. He'll be fine, says Jesse Daly. And you can go all the way back to Joey Logano too. So I do agree he came up too early though. I will say that. That's from and nothing against him. I think he's a great talent. Like he definitely came up too early though. So did Joey Logano. So probably did William Byron. But it worked out for those two. So and Ty's probably not going anywhere. So it'll probably work out for Ty eventually as well. That's from listening to Brad battle to reporters before Atlanta. OJ and Toothpaste. I bet Vegas called NASCAR after the Daytona truck race and said nope. Penalize that Parker Kligerman guy, says OJ and Toothpaste. could be. Vegas made the call there. Let's see. Stafford Speedway after painting Jeff Bodon's car was my first race, and my first race at age 18 was Louder by myself at Loudon. So there you go. A Loudon man, New Hampshire. Let's see. The Magic Mile, I believe is what they call it. My first NASCAR race was the old Richmond Fairgrounds. KL won in the Holly Farms ride. There you go. Old KL Yarborough sighting. I like it. Got KL hat right here. There you go. Latter years KL with the Ford Thunder Chicken, Hardy's car. Will you be at the championship race in Phoenix this year? Probably not. I'm just going to lean toward probably not, but never say never. I am trying to make a West Coast trip pretty soon here. Just my opinion. He was rushed up. Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. I do think he was rushed up, but I think he's in a unique situation where it's actually going to work out for him because he's not going to get fired, right? So it is what it is. But I agree with you. He definitely came up way too early. C-Bell is awesome. I remember that Eric Jones, Kansas Xfinity incident, says OJ and toothpaste. Let's see. Parker got robbed, says Kaufman. Toyota's standouts on 1.5s tax, in my opinion, and it's the majority of the tracks, but they never have the setups for those special times and tracks to Shaw. So he thinks they're 1.5 mile speedway merchants. So that's the Toyota take there. Dirty Def, how will Ross perform in the 9 for Junior Motorsports this weekend? Should need a miracle to beat Zilich. Curious to see if Ross in the 9 versus Byron in the 17 with truly equal equipment. Here's what I'm going to say about Ross, and SVG brought this up. SVG said he was amazed at how Ross followed him and picked up so much stuff so quick. So don't sleep on Ross Chastain. Obviously, Zilich and SVG have the better experience, but I wouldn't sleep on the one car. I'll say that. Bow ties are the best. That's why everybody's compared to them. Sorry, guys. Why do you think they haven't built a new car? Says Luop. So Luop trolling both sides. Trolling Chevrolet for not building a new car and trolling everybody else for still not being as fast as an old car. Well done. Well done, my friend. BB, you going to buy that Hendrick Chuck E. Cheese hat? Add it to your collection when it goes on sale. It's been on sale a couple of times. I'm waiting for it to go on sale. Hey, if you run 1,000 NASCAR races, you should have at least a couple of wins, right? So give his guaranteed win eventually. That should shut him up. I'm probably going to jinx him and let him win. What if he wins this weekend? He is pretty good at road courses. What if this is the weekend? It could happen. It's sports. It could happen. That was what was that? ESPN commercials back in the day. How long can Chevy run this car? Forever, says Shaw. Ross, just slap a different name on it. The Chevrolet, not Camaro. That's what we're running next season. Let's see. Ross usually ran Xfinity in the DGM cars, which I would say what is the third tier at best. So curious to see how he does with JRM, says Dirty Def. Yeah, I think he'll do good. I think he'll have a good shot in Xfinity. Zilly is going to be hard to beat, though. Oh, my God, I haven't heard Thunder Chicken in so long, says Luop. Come on, says one wise guy. What did Bill Elliott drive? The number 96 McDonald's drive-through car before he went to the 9. What team did Bill Elliott drive the number 96 McDonald's drive-through car for before he went to the number 9? That was like Bill Elliott Racing, I think. Like the 94 was Bill Elliott Racing. I don't remember who the 96 was though. Let's see. I think it's 3 more years. They can run the Camaro, including this year. I think by 28th they have something. They're changing the name to reproduce it as a Monte Carlo again, or maybe they'll bring it back the Nova. Says Lou up. Yeah, they're announcing a new car. I was just joking about that. Let's see. Ross won Coda 3 years ago, so he's good there, says OJ and Toothpaste. Parker and his team are still very vocal in public, saying NASCAR screwed them during inspection. Makes me think they are telling the truth. Yeah, I don't doubt them. I'm just saying I wasn't there, so it's hard to say. It's not the most shocking thing in the world that you might have an inexperienced official. So I'll just say that, and that's as polite as I can say it, because I got to get through tech, guys. So we're gonna can that one there. Yeah, it could be his one and only, and he's gonna keep polishing it, wax on, wax off. Seriously though, this current car has 1 to 2 years left till they redesign. Where a Chevy, I would just wait it out, says Shaw. Chevy is bringing back the Cavalier for the Cup Series. There you go. Chevy Cavalier. I'm going to put the 3.1 in it. V6, front wheel drive. Burning tires and lighting fires. Let's see. I think Andy Hillenberg had something to do with that 96. The 96 was PPI Racing. Andy Houston drove it, says Brickford Bricks. So there you go. We've solved the mystery of the number 96. According to you guys, it was the PPI and Andy Houston. Oh, my bad. I got confused, says OJ and Toothpaste. So there you go. 96 car, Andy Houston, McDonald's drive-through. Final results of the poll question. 75% say yes. They think Thor Sport will be the Dodge team. 25% saying no. All right. That's going to do it for this one. I appreciate y'all hanging out. Always fun, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.